Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we're going to be talking about the pandemic and how it exposed the digital divide. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, we're all familiar with the expression, the Internet of Things, how you can close your garage door from your phone now. But many of us don't think about how the Internet of Things is affecting commercial properties, because my next guest is Ed Christmas, and he is he's the CEO and founder of Sology Solutions. And I had not thought about the Internet of Things, but it's touching everything these days, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the pandemic highlighted the disparity in broadband connectivity and what can be done or what cannot be done. Here in Dallas alone, 42.3% of homes do not have broadband connectivity, which is a major problem. Just the vaccine shot highlighted that, being able to have to go online and make your appointment. So it's a huge problem, not just here in Dallas, across the country. A lot of initiatives going around that. The infrastructure bill that's being talked about, is trying to address that as well. And personally, Sology Solutions has a huge interest in the underserved communities because they have been hit the hardest, and it impacts education, workforce, all the above, business. There's just, when you talk about economic inclusion, it causes a big problem.
Absolutely, and we're going to be talking more about that in a second, but we found a great video. It's a nice overview video. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
Sology Solutions is a system integrator with specialization in IoT in 2 particular markets, what we refer to as smart and connected communities and transportation. I believe IoT is the big wave, the next industrial revolution, so to speak. And what you're seeing is technology is being applied to all industries. Many industries are being affected by IoT and devices coming onto the network, and that's where Sology wants to play. If you say, what are the 2 practice areas? Smart and connected communities, and we emphasize on education. We emphasize on cities, of course, or local governments, and the third being utilities and energy companies. Those are important because they have large campuses or large environments where it pays to have smart and connected technology for situational awareness. Same on transportation. We see a huge trend in the DOT's, Department of Transportation, where they're preparing for autonomous vehicles, and the importance of having the communication networks in play with the sensors and collecting this data to make real-time decisions is a big piece of that, as well as the city's traffic intersection being a component of that. And the third being transit agencies. Transit agencies are making their operations a lot smarter, improving situational awareness. So there's a need for collecting real-time data. I think Sology Solutions built a brand on partner to partner. When we became a Cisco partner, our model was slightly different. Because we had a specialization in safety and security, we partnered with other partners to help them be successful. So I would ask that the partners understand what it takes to be an IoT player and realize these sales are complex, and they need a company like Sology Solutions to help them bring all the components and players to the table.
And as a fellow entrepreneur, I have to congratulate you because I know you did work for corporate America for a long, long time before breaking out on your own. You're working with some large companies now.
Yeah, we pride ourselves on partner to partner. So we look for partners that make us look good, but at the same time, we make them look good. Just from a fact of there's some things we could do being nimble and agile where some of the bigger companies can't move as quick as we can. So having that type of partnership helps a lot.
Yeah, and it's gone beyond the U.S. borders. We've got a press release that we want to put up on the screen. I want you to talk about that. You're doing work in the Bahamas now?
Yeah, we're exploring some opportunities. Again, a community that was hit hard, or a country that was hit pretty hard. First, it was hit by the Hurricane Dorian, late 2019, and then right after that, the pandemic came. So if you talk about over 50% of their GDP being tied to tourism, it had a great impact on the country. So we're now working with some big partners to go in there and look at how we take the opportunity to transform. We call it digital transformation. A lot of these hotels that have a chance now to upgrade, we can now make it a safe environment for their customers to come back and feel safe through different technology that they could do and make them more competitive. Actually, we talked about it. Most people think technology will reduce the amount of jobs on the island, and we think just the opposite. By introducing this technology, we will also tie into educating some of the residents there so that they become technologists and bring some good things to the island.
Outstanding. And we were talking off camera about you're working with Dart Rail.
Yeah, Dart's been a long-standing customer since 2010, I guess, so close to 11 years. We're doing a lot of things with them. They're a good partner. We enjoy what they have a commitment at the executive level back into the community. So we're exploring some projects with a nonprofit that was recently formed. I'm one of the founders, called DigiBridge, which is looking at, how do we bring communication networks into these communities that, just to be honest, the big carriers have neglected for years. So
let's talk more about that. It's called All Stars?
All Stars project is All Stars Dallas. I'm on the board here, and it's a after-school development program.
Okay.
For some of the at-risk schools or schools that have a high population of at-risk kids. And it really touches these kids in unique ways, different talent shows to kind of get them to act as we've all had to act to be in corporate America. It gets them in that comfort zone or putting on your face, as we call it, but also giving them visibility to the type of possibilities, different careers, large corporations, E&Y, others in the area, large law firms have embraced this program here in Dallas, and it's catching on. It's based in New York. It started in New York. The founders are out of New York, but Dallas is one of the fastest growing markets, and we're just doing wonderful things. We're touching about 700 kids, where kids leave that program saying, I know what I want to be.
That's really cool. You told me before we went on, you can't be what you can't see.
Yeah, it's pretty clear when you have a kid that's exposed to a certain lifestyle of, they go to school, and a lot of these kids, they go to school and that's where they get their meals. They come home, they're in an environment that, are overcrowded, gunshots at night, high crime areas. It's hard for them to have vision. Poverty steals vision and hope. So we're looking at how do we rebuild that in an individual. Don't let your environment stop your vision and hope.
Yeah. Well, your eyes light up when you talk about it. I can tell that this is really your purpose. You've actually found your purpose, haven't you?
It's funny you say that. You get to a certain age, and I'm not saying I'm that old, Jeff, but you get to a certain age and you're saying, how can I give back? Like, done my career in corporate America as you have, and, started my own business, kind of scratched that itch, so to speak. And now it's like, okay, how do I bridge that to have a bigger impact for society.
Well, I've got to brag on Ed. Ed and I know each other through Glen Eagles Country Club, and I see him all the time, and he's always smiling. He's always around others, and you're one of the most gregarious people I've met at the club.
I appreciate that.
And clearly your passion for young people, this all-star program, just shines through. So
no, it's very clear. If you talk about my upbringing, I wasn't exposed to a lot of things, but kind of middle class, and had good parents that kept pushing me in the right direction, although I wanted to stray off. But at first, Jeff, it's challenging, right? You're like, oh, how can we help? And you have to come to terms with it. If I could just touch one kid, I made a difference, right? Because that kid may touch two kids, and it becomes a multiplying effect. But I tell people, do not do it because it seems overwhelming. Just put your toe in the pool, so to speak, and it will become rewarding for you as well. You think you're touching someone's life, but you don't realize how rewarding it is to be in that position.
Well, I've got to, recognize your last name, Christmas. That kind of put you on a trajectory at birth, didn't it? I mean, what did your father say to you about the last name Christmas?
Yeah, and I tell my kids this as well. With a name like Christmas, you can't screw up, because people are going to remember that, right? So, hold to your word. Do the right thing, and always show empathy to others. Walk in their shoes to understand. I think that's a problem today. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing, and they have no time to even put themselves in a different position. So that's key to understanding and us all getting along, right?
Well, and I applaud you thinking beyond the almighty dollar and making a profit. We're all have to make a living, but you being other-centered. We've got about a minute left, so I'd like to give you an opportunity to look into the camera and just challenge the audience, challenge the entrepreneur or the CEO that's not giving back to get involved.
I think we all give back in certain ways. The term we're using today is conscious capitalism. I'm a big believer in capitalism, but you got to have a conscience too. I mean, if you're just looking at the shareholders and what your quarter is going to look like, our society is going to be in trouble down the road. It's time now for companies to step up and help out, because we're in an interesting point now. So get involved one way or another, and trust me, there's so many areas to get involved in. You just got to decide, what tugs at your heart.
That's awesome. Makes sense. And that's a Christmas gift for all of us. Ed, thank you for coming on the show. We're going to end with your website. Sologysolutions.com is the website. Ed Christmas. Thank you for coming on the show.
Enjoyed it.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.